Hi, I'm Pandora's Books, and join me as I read Twilight as an adult. Now, you might be asking, why am I reading Twilight? And that's because my boyfriend Toby and I started watching the Twilight series again. We finished all the movies now. We did it in like a week. We binged them. All because my Instagram feed is full of Twilight memes. There's this one lady that like explains the lore behind Twilight, and it was just constantly in my mind. And also, when you Google Twilight, there's a banner where it says it's Hoa Hoa season. So I was like, it is Hoa Hoa season. And so now that we've watched the movies, I should probably read the book. Now, I have read this book. I've read the first one and the last one. Don't ask me why. I remember reading this book, I think it was on a car journey back from Spain, and I remember the ending scared me, and that's why I know I was too young to read this book. And then I didn't read the other two books, don't know why, and I skipped right to the end. I had watched the movies before reading the book, and I've rewatched the movies many times after, but I've never reread the book. This is me reading or rereading Twilight as an adult.
Here goes nothing.
What the hell are you doing?
I know it's quick to check in, but I've just finished the first chapter. It felt like a really long chapter, and I don't know if that's because I'm used to short chapters in modern books now, but a lot happened in it. But also, I was like, how am I still on chapter 1? So far, I don't notice any big changes from the movie. Like, there's little things here and there about like how characters look. For example, Emmett doesn't have a buzz cut like he does in the movie. Apparently he has curly hair, which I can't imagine. It doesn't compute in my mind. So far, she's moved to Forks, she's got in the truck, she's had her first day at school, she's met all the main group of friends, she's been introduced to the Cullens, she's had her first class, that biology class where she's stinky.
Uh-oh, stinky.
And he's asked to switch biology classes at reception. She is extremely clumsy, like comically clumsy, and I don't think she was like that in the movie. I know she got a paper cut that, bled 50 gallons.
Paper cut.
But aside from that, there wasn't so much clumsiness from her, whereas in this book she's tripped over stuff, bumped into things, she's constantly like accidentally doing something, and I feel like that was very reminiscent of the 2000s. That's all the thoughts I have so far, so I'm going to get back to reading. Okay, so I'm 172 pages in. I've just finished chapter 9, which is the scene where Bella confronts Edward and he not outright tells her that he's a vampire, but they've confirmed that he's a vampire between the two of them. It's different in the book because in the book they do it in the car. That sounds wrong. After Edward saves her After Edward saves her the way that they do it in the movie, which is they do it in the woods where she's like, how old are you? 17. How long have you been 17? A while. Which is actual dialogue from the book, by the way. But I think it's more dramatic in the movie, in the woods, with all like the cuts back and forth. In the book, it is in the car, and the only like dramatic thing is that he seems to be, calm, but she looks at his hand and it's like bright white knuckles over the steering wheel or something like that. I think the reveal is longer in the book, as in there's more back and forth, there's more Bella explaining how she came to the conclusion. But also, we're not even like halfway through the book yet. So far, this book has spent a lot more time following Bella in school and her going to classes and her talking with her friends rather than in the movie. I think that was glossed over a bit as you see Bella interacting more with the friend group rather than you do in the movie, because you don't really see them much after the beginning. Also, there's a lot of dialogue that is picked up from the book, which I didn't realize. Like, a lot is word for word. I forgot about this. Everyone asked Bella to go to the dance, even though it's girls' choice. Mike asks her, Tyler asks her, Eric asks her. Speaking of Mike, he's literally described as a golden retriever, follows her about, obsessed with her, even though Bella's told her multiple times, hey, Jessica likes you, maybe you should ask her, and he's continuously just after Bella. Constantly. And like, he is also jealous, constantly. Jealous of Edward, jealous of Jacob, who is 15 and Bella's 17, mind you. And I thought that was weird in the movie when it was mentioned that he was 16 and Bella was 18. Still weird in the book. And she outright, like, she says that she tries to flirt with Jacob so that she can get information out of him about the myth with the Cullens. Let's get back to it. It hasn't been long since I last updated, but I feel like I should mention that there have been a few differences that I wasn't expecting. It's strange to me because with other book to movie adaptations, you tend to hear from fandoms if they're upset that it wasn't truthful to the source materials. But with Twilight, I've never really heard anyone complain about the adaptation, complain that it's not like the book. But there's one bit in here that I'm like, how come no one mentioned this, or how come I've never seen anyone mention this? So basically, Edward's taken Bella to his favorite spot in the woods, but he takes her to the meadow, and they're talking, and they start to lean in for a kiss, which happens in the movie, but is in her bedroom rather than in the meadow. And just like in the movie, he then jumps back because he can't handle it. And then what happens in the book is he says the lines, as if you could outrun me, as if you could fight me off. However, in the movie, he like screams that. In the book, he literally says, as if you could fight me off, he said gently. I'd never seen him so completely freed of that carefully cultivated facade. His expression slowly folded into a mask of ancient sadness. Don't be afraid, he murmured, his velvet voice unintentionally seductive. I promise, he hesitated. I swear not to hurt you. And that just seems so vastly different to how it was portrayed in the movie. It kind of reminds me of how in Harry Potter, when Dumbledore like screams,
Harry, you put your name in the goblet of fire.
when in reality in the book he says it very calmly. And it kind of reminds me of that. If anyone knows how the fandom first reacted when the movie first came out, let me know, because I'm really curious to see what the reaction was, the reception to the movie was. Anyway, back to reading. So I have finally finished Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. And you know what? It's not that bad. It's not as bad as everyone says it is. It's not unbearable. It's actually, like, if this came out in 2024, I think it would probably do really well. I think it's just gotten this reputation because of the movies. And to be honest, the first movie I really enjoy, so I don't know what all the hate is about. I think you either hate Twilight or you like enjoy it, or you at least secretly enjoy it.
Watch Twilight.
Yeah, right.
No, it's not even cool to be a hater anymore.
I would say the one downfall of the book is the pacing of the first half, or like the first 2/3. You're mostly at school with Bella. You're mostly having this back and forth between her and Edward, where she's waiting for him to show up to school, waiting for him to pay attention to her, or they're like asking each other, like skirting around the fact that he's a vampire. I think it's the moment that the reveal happens, that's when things pick up. I do think Edward has more personality here. And Ella? Who's Ella?
Alex! Oh, that fucking Alex!
And Bella as well. I mean, her personality is mostly, I fall everywhere and I'm obsessed with you and I can't live without you. But it's a bit more than just what Bella in the movie has. Also, I don't know if I'm misremembering it, but Bella actually loves the sun in the book, whereas I feel like in the movie she doesn't. Either way, as with most book to movie adaptations, the book, because of its medium, has more of a chance to develop characters, develop the story. And so Jasper's likable. He's not just like some statue staring at you like this. Alice, I mean, I liked her in the movie anyway, but I really like her. You learn about Carlisle's backstory in this, which is really interesting. You learn a bit about Esme. Rosalie doesn't really have much, like she doesn't speak to Bella at all. She hates her, in fact, and so you don't really get much of her. I like Emmett in this. He's protective of Bella. Basically, like, I like all of the Cullens and they each have their time to shine. The whole first 2/3 of this book is just them asking each other questions. Bella asking him about being a vampire, Edward asking her about being a human. That is it. And then, finally, they have the baseball scene, which iconic scene in the movie. That doesn't happen until page 300 and... Let me find it. 304. Do you see that? 304 is the game. 300 pages before the baseball scene, which happens, I don't know, maybe halfway through the movie? Possibly earlier? Either way, like, I'm not complaining. It's just that the beginning felt a bit slower because it was mostly based in school. But I think I'd give it like a 3 stars. Like, I give a lot of rom-coms 3 stars. I don't think this is a bad book. Sure, there's some toxic behavior. Like, I think Edward's a little bit too possessive or too protective, and I think Bella's a bit too codependent, actually way too codependent. But the books that are released nowadays, like the dark romances that are put on shelves nowadays, this is nowhere to that, you know, and people enjoy those books perfectly fine. So yeah, that's me reading Twilight as an adult. My Instagram is now not filled with Twilight as much, so I assume the season is over. It took me that long to read it, but it is like 400 pages, more than 400 pages. Like, comment, subscribe, do all those fun YouTube things, and I shall see you next time in another book-related video. Bye.